Hey there, just a quick reminder we have a mentorship program if you're looking for personalized coaching and mentorship to help guide you to the next level of your interior design business, whatever that might look like for you, whether it's processes and procedures or what services to offer to how to incorporate wellness, intention, or spirituality into your projects. Come join us over at designcoven.com/join. Or if you're just in search to connect with other like-minded interior designers, you can join our free community, also located at designcoven.com/join. Hey, we are on episode 55. It's my birthday. We're in the middle of San Diego Design Week, exploring inspiration through taste and food. So I am super excited for today. I have Tara Monsod on our podcast today, who is the executive chef for ANIMAE, and I couldn't be more happy. We get to talk all things food and taste, and we also explore a little bit and connect over our Filipino heritage, which is always so fun. So let me give you a little bit of info on Tara. In her first executive chef role, Tara Monsod brings over a decade of kitchen experience, a lifetime of passion, and a culinary perspective shaped by her upbringing as a Filipino-American to Puffer Malarkey's collective ANIMAE. Her culinary journey has placed her in some of San Diego's most prominent restaurants, including Richard Blais Juniper Ivy, Brian Malarkey's Herringbone and Burlap, and Nancy Silverton's Mozza. Starting under Nate Appleman as Executive Sous Chef at ANIMAE, she continued to hone her fine dining craft while also experimenting with pushing forward the Filipino flavors she's always known. Now working alongside celebrated chef Brian Malarkey as Executive Chef, Tara's interpretation of ANIMAE gives diners a chance to experiment with new dishes, like the tuna kinilaw, the caviar shrimp toast, and the kari-kari short ribs with bagoong peanut oil. Mirroring Malarkey's emphasis on hospitality and generosity, Tara can be seen walking the dining room on any given night, greeting guests, engaging and educating them on a particular spice or cooking technique. Sharing her cuisine motivates and moves her, and her hope is to become a culinary ambassador and mentor to legions of Asian American and Pacific Islander cooks who are looking to break into the restaurant industry. Oh my goodness. So good. I hope you enjoy our conversation as much as I did. And let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear from all of you. You're listening to the Holistic Interior Design Business Podcast. This is a podcast that guides you as a new or inspiring independent interior designer navigating your entrepreneurial path. Here, with my over 20 years experience, I will share my holistic approach to design with intention and ancient practices, including feng shui, all incorporating mind, body, and spirit into my design projects. You will also learn from seasoned interior designers as they give strategies and insight of how they built their businesses and continue to work in the field. Together, we will discover supportive trade partners, new ideas, creatives, and inspiring artists from around the world. I am your host, Rachel Lorraine Crawford. We've got a special series for San Diego Design Week. We are exploring the theme of inspiration through the senses. And today we're exploring inspiration through the sense of taste. And I'm super excited to have Tara on here with us, the executive chef at ANIMAE, and we're gonna dive in. So before we do that, I'm gonna go ahead and just set our space by ringing a bell, lighting a candle, kind of just getting us centered and connected to ourselves here and in the present moment. So just reconnecting to our breath and our space. I'm going to go ahead and light a candle. I love to just incorporate the energy of fire, and if this will, there we go, which you get to play with as part of one of your elements that you get to connect with on a daily basis. There we go. And I'm gonna pull us a card just to kind of see what energies we get to kind of connect with today. So I'm gonna pull my card. Go ahead.
I think this is my first tarot card.
What was that?
I think this is my first tarot.
Oh, really?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
I don't think everybody's pulled a card out for me.
Okay, well, let's see what we got.
Okay.
This is pretty fun.
I'm a little scared too.
Oh, we have the world. This is a really beautiful card. So this is the card of support. A lot of times this card will come in when things are wrapping up or there's an ending or there's a completion happening just before we get into a brand new start, a brand new beginning. So this is just like, I like to think of this card as like things wrapping up into a beautiful bow, all the loose ends just getting kind of tied up. And then what we have here in the corners are the 4 elements. So knowing that we're completely supported and connected in that space.
That's awesome.
So yeah. And you're the last interview that I have for this series.
Oh,
so
there you go.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah. Perfect. So I always ask my guests, what are you nourishing yourself with? Do you have anything that you do or drink in the morning to start your day?
Lately I'm really bad about eating breakfast, I'm not gonna lie. But lately I've been drinking a lot of kombucha, just like different flavors.
Mm.
I didn't like kombucha before, but lately I've been really, really drinking it and trying to just make a little bit of healthier choices on what I put into my body lately. And it seems to be working the last like few weeks.
Good.
You know, I lost a few pounds and I was really feeling unhappy with myself maybe like a month ago. And I was just like, I need to get this together. I need to get it together. So I stopped. As much as I love our snack drawer at work that, you know, I have for my staff that people contribute to, I've been really good about not touching it myself.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot of control.
That would be so tempting.
Keep you busy. Sometimes you need a little pop of sugar or whatever it is. So, I mean, I'll maybe take a tiny thing of a Reese's cup versus like 5 of them or, you know, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, for sure.
But usually it's either coffee from Mostra or maybe a Vietnamese coffee or it'll be like a kombucha and some water. So
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the kombuchas, I feel the same way. I think it was the vinegary taste that I was getting with them, but there's so many that don't even have that now. So
they're much better. I'm drinking Synergy right now where it's a little more juicy. And I'm starting to like them better. When I first tasted it, I was like, what is this? I mean, I felt healthy drinking vinegars. I knew that. But
yeah,
not something that I could like drink a whole bottle of, you know? So
no.
I mean, they're editing and coming out with a little better stuff.
For sure. Well, I've got a lemongrass tea, just pure lemongrass from Peru.
Oh, I love them. Amy and
I know, that's how I discovered you.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. You could tell they're 2 people that just have good energy, you know? Yeah, they're
so good.
I love it. I love supporting another queer Asian female like owned business, you know? There's not too many of
Absolutely. No, you guys are very rare.
There's not too many of us. I'm so happy to support them.
Yeah, and Amy's episode is I've got her on for smell.
Oh, nice. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So I'm curious. I want to know, like, what is the origin story of you diving into the world of food and your palate and all these things? Like, how did all of this come to be?
Oh man, let me see. Maybe like long story short. Obviously I'm Filipino-American, so food is very much a part of us. When any gathering or anything like that, it's always food, right? So. Growing up as a kid, I grew up in LA, so LA's food scene is crazy. We were a commuter family, so I spent a lot of time in the car. So people ask me, like, how did you get to know food? And honestly, it's that way. We killed a lot of time in traffic by going out to eat, and we lived an hour away from where I went to school and where my parents worked. And then between like where my dad and mom worked, where I went to school, it's like at least an hour drive in between all of those because it's LA.
Oh my gosh.
It's LA is like a 10-minute drive is It's a 45-minute drive. So it's that LA life. So during that time, you pass a lot of food. You end up in different neighborhoods, and that's kind of just how I started learning about food at a young age, where I recognized what good food was, let alone
Yeah.
other cultures. So that is one thing. That's why I rep LA so hard, because I have such a
Mm.
connection to it at such a young age, and it really helped mold me as a person. Like, I was born in Hollywood, and but
Oh my gosh.
yeah, I'm like definitely an LA kid. I'm definitely an LA kid. So um and then, so leading up to that, I always, Food Network was like just starting when I was a kid, um
Okay.
and I would always watch that instead of like cartoons. And so, and then I just grew up into that, and then getting older, watching Top Chef, and then watching food was just something that I was always into, and taking
Mm.
people out was always something I was always into, but I thought it was just a hobby and a love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I graduated college or high school, I thought, well, maybe I should call it culinary school. But Asian parents are like, no, you're supposed to know how to cook. That's just a hobby. And being a chef back then was like not really a career choice, a wise one.
Yeah.
And so I did the whole nursing school thing, and
Oh my gosh.
like a good Filipino daughter died. And then when I was done, I was just like, I really don't want to do this.
Oh my gosh.
My cousin, who's a counselor, I always tell this story. My cousin, who's a counselor, she was like, what should I do? And she's like, why don't you go to culinary school? I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, I mean, all you do is talk about food. You watch food, you do this and do that. And I just never put two and two together. Like,
Mm.
and then I literally sat on it for maybe a week, and then I just said F it, and I went to culinary school, and then did that, worked 2 jobs, worked in industry while in school, one to pay for tuition, other one to pay for life,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
grinded and hustled. And I told myself that if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go all in. So I literally dove in and just tried to make ish happen. And 12 years now, I just kind of been working throughout the industry, trying to be a sponge and work for
Yeah.
people that I want to be like, and just anything that I could get. And then now here I am at ANIMAE, that a job presented itself, and it's been it's just been great. Like, I wasn't expecting any of it. I wasn't expecting
Yeah.
any of the attention that we were getting. But I'm grateful that it's all going well, and I'm representing a community or communities, and through
Mhm.
food. And that's like the best, most nourishing, like, love language, and it's just,
Yeah.
I feel very blessed for sure.
Yeah.
So
I
long but
love
short,
it.
kind of sorry.
No, it's fantastic. So did you come to San Diego because of anime, or were you already here? Like,
Yeah,
what was that journey?
I came to San Diego, for try to finish nursing school, and then I was
Okay.
at an age where, when you graduate college, you're like, did I make the right decision? It's like
Right?
a quarter life crisis. I was in a quarter life crisis, and I was really just questioning everything, and like, oh, this is a life decision you have to make, blah blah blah. And that's when I didn't start to go to culinary school or decide till I actually moved here and really decided that I really didn't want to do nursing as a career. And this is kind of good, because back home, like, I would have to drive to LA to go to culinary school, and I think it's
Oh
good
yeah.
that I ended up out here, because it forces you to grow into a different way versus being in your same environment. So I
Mhm.
think things turn out for a reason, and I'm so happy that I made the decision to kind of move to San Diego and just meet different people and surround myself with it in a different space,
Yeah,
just all together.
absolutely. And having a Filipino mom, what was it like when you told your parents that you weren't going to be a nurse?
Oh my God, for my mom, it was like the end of the world. Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah, it was the end of the world. It's funny, because I just talked to a Mesa College students last week, talking about basically Asian culture and how to
Yeah.
make decisions as far as our career, and just the difficulties of being an Asian kid and just kind of navigating through life. And that was one of the main things that people kept saying, is that, I'm afraid to disrespect my mom or dad or my family after they invested all this time and money into me. And I explained the word hiya. you ever get yelled at and they go walang hiya, like you have.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, my mom would yell at me in so many terms. I have no idea what she was saying, but I knew it was bad.
yeah. So walang hiya means like it's like you have no shame, like shame on you,
Mm,
but the word hiya has so much more meaning to it.
mm,
The unspoken debt for everybody that came before you, that kind of
mm.
set you up so that you can have the life that you have now. Yeah, if that makes sense. It's kind of this
Yeah,
just like
absolutely.
don't forget where you came from kind of mentality. So it has so much more deeper meaning into it. And so that was one of the topics that we were talking about with the students. Like
Mm,
they understood the negativity behind that statement,
yeah,
but I don't think they really, as a young Filipino American, I don't think they really truly understood what the meaning was. And I think I
yeah.
opened their minds about that.
Mm,
uh,
mhm.
I think they were like, oh, like,
Yeah,
what? That it makes so much more sense now. So
yeah.
if I left that with them, I especially related to our culture, then that meeting with those students was just like kind of worth it right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much weight into that
Yeah,
and, the dedication and the
it's
sacrifice that,
sacrifices that our parents made so that we could be here. And being first generation Filipino American, I think we understand that the most. Um, our
mhm.
kids could understand that, but I don't think they're gonna understand it.
No.
I really, it's as much as you want them to. It's just a different way of growing up. Different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have 2 boys and it's like and they're with her a lot, but and she also doesn't kind of put that I don't think she puts that pressure on them at
Yeah,
this point. I think it's all kind of,
it's all on
us
you.
first.
It was all on
Yeah.
you. It's all on you.
So I get to carry that. So yeah.
So you understand me. You understand me.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, so I wanted to talk a bit about inspiration with you because, typically people think about design and inspiration and they're thinking of, these beautiful design spaces and anime is, one of those
Yeah,
spaces that's absolutely
beautiful.
stunning and
Yeah.
gorgeous. But that's like the first thing that people think about. And I was like, well, there's so many avenues and there's so many different ways of looking at design and inspiration. And you're constantly designing when you're plating and when you're putting these flavors together and the way things kind of interact with each other. So can you share with us a little bit about how you get inspired to put different ingredients together or what happens? Like what's going on? I'm not very familiar with how all that
Like
kind
the
of
creative
comes
process.
together. And then, yeah, like what does that look like?
Well, I mean, obviously everybody has like different ways of how they get inspired and create things. I think most of the time mine is through experiences and nostalgia
Mm,
and just kind of interaction with people, or maybe like a dish that or inspired by other people and their cuisine. It's play I hate saying word plagiarism, but plagiarism in the food industry is the biggest form of flattery. It means that that dish inspired me and I want to, like, you get mad that you didn't come up with it. You're like, oh my god, that was
yeah,
so
yeah,
good. Mad that I didn't think of that. But it's like, but it's
yeah,
also the best compliment because you created something that was like that you could eat, and it just leaves such a lasting impression on you that you literally feel it. And I think that's why I really fell in love with the whole with culinary, because it's an edible art medium. Like, it's not only does it visually look appealing, it has to taste good too. And
yeah, yeah.
I think, unfortunately, I do think that a lot of people worry about looks first versus
Okay.
flavor. And I tell my cooks
Mhm.
all the time, I was like, look, just worry about flavor first, and then we'll work on everything after. But like, focus on the flavor first and get that right.
Mm,
And then once there, then we'll start to think about how to visually make it appealing, and then artistically into that. So, um, it's actually a lot. And then now that we're talking about it, it's like,
yeah.
how do I do this like over and over again? Um, but it starts with an idea, and then in my brain, I literally think about food all the time, and I visually start to kind of build it in my head.
Mhm.
About flavors, I think about texture, I think about visually what it's going to look like, how it's going to eat, and then from there I try to build, and then usually I'll R&D, and I'll start with an idea, then I'll try to get flavor down, and then I'll go in,
Okay.
how does this eat? Does this eat right? Will you get a balanced bite? Will you get enough sauce? Will you get enough of everything so that that it translates from what my brain is into your mouth?
Yeah.
And then I go into visual and texture and all that stuff. It's yeah, like I said, now that I'm saying it out loud, it actually is a lot, but it takes a lot of practice. I think I've had a lot of practice creating, and I think that's the best way to get better at like anything actually, but especially with this, is to get comfortable with creating dishes. You constantly just have to keep doing it, and
Yeah.
I think what most people tell me that I'm best at is balance in a dish, is making sure there's enough salt to acid. You ever eat something and it just kind of rides straight, and then you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I'm really good about kind of making waves in a dish a little bit, and so that your mind and your body kind of feel it more. Um, and plus a lot of love into the food. I know some people say that it's kind of cliche, but you really can taste
Yeah.
a chef is having a bad day.
Mm.
And it's like the energy that we're putting into it. And my cooks are great. They care, and I
Yeah.
really try to create a culture where they can express themselves and care, because a happy cook equals happy food, and people can really taste that. It's just I get inspired in so many different ways, and it kind of just, once I do, I write it down, and then
Mm.
I build from there. I don't know
Yeah.
the question correctly completely, but
That's
it's
perfect.
a lot going on. There's a lot going on in this brain. And then to
Yeah.
put it on a
I could
plate,
tell.
yeah, I can put it onto a plate, and I have the opportunity to. So it's actually, it's really a lot of fun.
Yeah, I could tell there's like so many layers. So you were just talking about experimenting and adding, these different flavors and all these things. Can you share with us maybe like a flop that you did where you were like, oh my God, this is gonna be so amazing, and then all of a sudden you put it together and then it's like
Oh,
not what you
in
expected.
the beginning, yeah, when you're learning how to build flavors together,
Yeah.
when in the beginning, when sometimes it's simple, like don't get crazy with it, like just things go together for a reason, and so
Yeah.
um but after a while, in the beginning, when you really don't know flavors or anything like that, there's a lot of flops, but or there's some ideas that are good with one execution, but when
Yeah.
you multiply it a million times in a restaurant, it doesn't translate, and
Mm.
so there's a lot of times where I've done that, where like I have a dish right now that I'm working on, where if I made it to order and one at a time, and it's great, but do it times 60, it's like, okay, wait,
Oh,
how do
yeah.
how do we make this so that it's consistent, and that's the hardest part with like working in a restaurant as big as Anime, is like sometimes things will translate in one dish, but it doesn't translate into 60. So uh,
Got it.
that's another factor right now, as far as the creative process, when you start to become
Mm.
executive chef, is like, how do you make it consistent, where whatever you created is coming out the same way over and over and over again. So
Yeah.
it's a lot. I forgot what the original question was. What was the original
Oh, just if
question?
you had like if there was like a flop that you had that was really
Oh,
memorable, that was like it just
yeah.
needs.
Yes, there has been a lot, and especially the beginning of my career, and but as I now that I'm a little more far into it, I can imagine things in my head, and I can see
Yeah.
if they're working now, like versus before, where I'm like, I think it'll work. No. But by the time I start to play with it, it's like it's more of like editing at that point, of like, does it hit the way that I want it to hit? Is there enough acid? Is there enough salt? Is there enough sauce? Like, and that's where it starts to edit, when I actually start to play with it. It's like, how do I get the idea in my brain onto the plate, and making sure that it's hitting the way that I'm tasting it in my brain, and
Mhm.
seeing it in my brain. So, and I take a lot of input from my team too, which is one of the big things
Got it.
um I really try to, is that collaboration is key. um Communication,
Mhm.
and consistency. And I say those three things and I breathe it down their neck. But there's a lot of people who like create and don't get opinions from other people because maybe it's an ego
Mm,
thing. Maybe they don't they don't think that their opinion matters, or but I think it's I have a team of 60 people at one point in the restaurant.
gosh.
It's the best demographic to test an idea out and tell me if it hits, you know?
Yeah.
So, I really take my team's input into, and I when people eat my food, I watch them like a hawk because the first reaction of when they put it in their mouth is the most honest. It's the most
Got
honest.
it.
So when they eat it and I get like a head nod and like a point, then I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
hitting. Or do I
You nailed it.
exactly? Or if I get a eat and there's just like no reaction and kind of like, yeah, yeah, it's good. I'm like, you're fucking lying to me. You're lying. You're lying. Like it's not.
You could tell.
Yeah, so or like it is good, but it's not hitting the way that I want it to hit. So I really look into that creatively, and that's why you see me walking around the dining room, not only because I want to meet guests, but like I'm really
Yeah.
genuinely interested in their reactions and seeing, if they like the food. Am I getting the,
Yeah.
oh my god, that is awesome? And in a perfect world, everything is like, oh my god, it's so good, and that's the goal.
Yeah, and you spoke about it a little bit earlier about, having a bad day and being able to taste it in your food or being, on top of the world and being able to taste it there too. Can you share a little bit about, do you do any intentions before you come into your workspace, or do you clear some of that stuff out? Like, how do you stay balanced? I mean, you say your food's really balanced. Like, I imagine that you kind of
Yeah.
have to bring that energy too, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, being a chef is crazy. I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely not a life for everyone. um
yeah.
Keeping your cool in a type of environment like this takes a lot of, I think, I'm a pretty chill person, as in,
Hmm.
I'm very patient. I'm very I don't know, I'm just chill. I'm really chill. It takes a lot for
Yeah.
me to get angry. Only thing that makes me upset is when people don't care. And um, I
Mm-hmm.
think I've worked really hard with me and the other managers, our GM Tori, and our other managers Dick, and like I have my sous chefs. We worked really hard to create a culture, and I
Yeah.
think that's what keeps our space the way that it is creating a culture, leaving negativity out the door, out, like leave it at the door,
Yeah.
and coming here with intention, of creating an experience for our guests. So I put a lot of time into maybe creating space, for me and the rest of
Hmm.
my team. Me mentally, I think I just kind of, with being who I am as a person, I've learned to kind of just control, be emotionally aware. Uh, I kind of practice that where like, okay, um, maybe if I'm getting upset, I take a second and be like, okay,
Yeah.
just kind of be emotionally aware, and then um, and I try to lately. I've been trying to kind of take a few minutes in the dining room by myself. Um,
Mm.
I'm just having some quiet time. Being in the kitchen all the time, I'm always constantly surrounded by people getting pulled different
Yeah.
ways. I remember I recorded myself. I was making pasta one time, and it was supposed to be a time lapse, and it was like an hour video of me making pasta. And within that time, I kind of watched it, went through it, and I didn't realize how many people come up to me in a short period of, and my brain just answers things. So it just goes go go go, and it's like Spitfire. It's Spitfire, and
Wow.
I don't even realize that I'm doing it. And then I can then I start to realize maybe that's why at the end of the day I'm so tired, is
Yeah.
physically, like even though executive chef, like I don't have to physically be on the line anymore. It's just my brain is challenged a different way now. And
Yeah.
so taking time to myself in the dining room really helps. Um, Maybe in my morning routine of kind of walking my dog, kind of just really taking it in and kind of
Mhm.
getting into a mental space that I'm about to go to work. Try to just reserve my energy and just really try to honestly just relax before
Yeah.
I go into chaos. But granted,
Yeah.
chaos is not that bad. um I've worked in a lot of environments where it's like organized
Right.
chaos, and
Yeah.
it can take a toll. Honestly, it can take a toll on people, and I understand why a lot of people, this industry is not for them. um
Mhm.
but for other people, we thrive
Absolutely.
it. We thrive off the energy, we thrive off the chaos, and at the end of the ship you're like, yeah, we handled that. Like we but and then when I come home, I usually make myself a meal, maybe have like a drink to help relax, or just
Mhm.
make myself something to eat. It's not the healthiest all the time, I'm not gonna lie. I am an instant noodle type of person. I don't know
Yeah.
have you watched The Bear?
No.
So The Bear is on Netflix, and everybody messaged me when it came out. So it's kind of a it's a really good show of kind of like what
Okay.
to be in the headspace of a chef. And they did a very good job of kind of getting the high paced anxiety kind of unhealthy parts of but also also the fun and passionate parts. But there's a scene where he rushing home, and he opens the door, literally makes himself a peanut butter and jelly, drinks a Coke,
Yeah.
and then lays down and is watching food videos. And I would like to say that's a lot of us. So that's me. Except me, it's with instant noodles. It's okay, take a shower real quick, make a one pot thing with the most minimal dishes. Um,
Yeah.
Sit down and scarf it down, lay down, try to watch a food video because that's my way of studying. And then
Okay.
most likely fall asleep watching it. And there's a scene that does that, and I'm like, that's me. That is me. So but yeah, and if on my days off, I try to surround myself with family. Definitely get a
Yeah.
good meal in. You never know when you're going to be inspired. I tell my chefs like that all the time. I'm like, go out to eat something you haven't tried,
Yeah.
and you never know how it's going to inspire you as a chef. So I try to get at least one good meal in. Doesn't have to be expensive, or it could be, but just anything that's just
Yeah.
tasty. So
Yeah. Something different.
yes, sorry, I talk a lot.
No, it's fantastic. I love it. I love like the inner workings and what's going on. And, we all like in any creative industry, I feel like there's all kinds of ways and avenues to approach, that design part of the business.
Yeah.
And it's really fascinating to hear, and everyone wants to know like what's going on. Like, how do you think? Because everyone thinks so differently. So it's like, wow, it's really fascinating.
Yeah, it's like some people are like, I just like, how did you think of that? I'm like, I wish I think like that, and that
Yeah.
I never realized that people look at me like that till anime, that's because of just
Mhm.
it's all me and my team. So I now I have a better understanding, but before I was just like, I don't know, I just come up and stuff and then put it on a plate.
Well, it's like when it's in our heads, we're like, this is normal, right? Like,
This
this is
is
what everybody
normal.
does. We don't,
Exactly. This is normal. I was like, people create. This is what they do. But I guess there's some who create and there's some who excel, and
yeah.
I'm not good with compliments, so maybe it's hard for me
Yeah.
time. So no.
Yeah. And speaking of compliments, I mean, you're getting all kinds of write-ups and features and all over the place. I feel like I see you like in all the things, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy because like I know a lot of people in the industry, like
Yeah.
and I've worked with a lot of people who are now doing great things. It's hard to not have your worlds kind of intertwine.
Yeah.
It's big but small, and
Absolutely.
I think I've just been known as a person who always just kind of worked their ass off, and I've
Mhm.
also has been the smallest one in the kitchen all the time. So when you're the smallest one, yeah, I mean, I'd like to say that you almost get underestimated a lot, and then
Yeah, for sure.
when you start to surprise them, then it kind of leaves a lasting imprint them and in their minds of who you are as a person. And so I've kind of carried myself in a way that, I if you're gonna say my name, I either want you to say that I'm a nice person or I work my ass off. Um,
Yeah.
and so but all these write-ups have been great. I've gotten used to talking to people. In the beginning, I was,
Yeah.
why do you want to talk to me? I was chatting with my team and they were just saying, in the last like year and a half, 2 years, the growth from me as far as related to anything like that has changed.
Mm.
That goes back into practicing. Like, you get put in these uncomfortable situations enough, there's no way that you're not going to grow, and that's the
No,
best.
you have to.
You have to grow. And I really embraced the side of what I'm doing as a career. Was I expecting it? No. Is it bad? No. It's just a different aspect of what I do. Is like, I'm a face of anime, and
Hmm.
instead of fighting it, I needed to embrace it and really, people want to talk to me. Let's talk food. Let's talk culture.
Yeah.
Let's talk about
Yeah.
anything that you feel that is related to me in the restaurant and that can help you. And so I've really, really kind of learned to embrace it and kind of have fun with it at this point. I'm lucky that it's even happening. Like, it'd be stupid for me to kind of ignore it and just be like, well, I don't
Yeah.
want to do it. Like, in the end, I think it helps not just me, but it helps anime. It helps my team.
Mhm.
The worst thing is working at a restaurant that's slow. Like, it's just not.
Oh, yeah, I can't
It's
imagine.
like, after COVID, it's like I have, almost like this "let's make shit happen" attitude. It's like
Yeah.
nothing can be worse than that. Not having a
No.
job and having an empty restaurant and feeling so cold inside. Like, it,
Yeah.
whatever, will get people to come in, whether it's just me or whether it's completely the food and they don't care about me. That's totally fine too. You know, and the most important thing is that I mean, there's no restaurant without food, and there's no restaurant without guests. So
Yeah.
whatever I need to do to make that happen, that connection happen, I'm willing to do it. So it's
Amazing.
yeah.
Do you have anything exciting and fun coming up that you are, like, stoked on, or any collaborations that you've been trying to build or
Yeah.
anything in
So
that realm?
October is a busy month for me. It's Filipino-American History Month. So with a lot of the attention I've been getting is mostly around our food, because
Yeah.
you don't see our food in this type of environment, or let alone fine dining, uh, too much. But what's great is that there's this wave of young chefs who are really passionate about our culture,
Mm.
our who
Amazing.
are making things happen. Like, in a lot of the major cities, there's somebody who's trying to push our food forward, and other than it being in a styrofoam to go box being
Yeah.
scooped, even though it's delicious.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, people, it's fire. It's fire. But like, it's just creating a space for our food. Other than that, our Filipino community, as far as chefs, we're all very close. We all support.
Mm.
So I probably do something with Phil. I'm trying to do something with Justin at Homage Bakery, who he's a also Filipino American, and then maybe Mostra, which is obviously a Filipino owned coffee company, who features
Nice.
Filipino flavors. So stuff like that. I'm going to Houston for with Chef Claudette to help her out for like this barbecue fest.
Oh my
But
gosh.
as a whole, as a month as a whole, it is our month. It's our month, so
Yeah.
there'll be a lot of things, like little cool collaborations like that. We're gonna try to raise money towards maybe like a fundraiser for something in the Philippines to help donate, whether it's
Mm.
still or towards education or providing meals for the underprivileged in the Philippines, because our dollar goes a long way. So
Yeah.
all the details are getting figured out, but there's definitely a lot of stuff going on.
Ugh.
And it's definitely gonna be my month for sure. It was my month last year, and when I was done,
Ah,
oh my god, we did so much. But it makes sense to do it in October, so you got to
yeah.
make it happen.
Absolutely. I think it's really incredible too. You just talking about like the last October and like us having these months. I'm curious, like what's happening in your like astrological chart, and you might even want to take a look. I know for me personally, like my Julys are on fire. That it's like one of those months, and it has to do a lot with like this Leo energy and like
Oh,
where planets are in different parts of my chart. So I'd be curious to know like what's going on in your chart in
you know,
October, because there might be
I
something.
mean, I have no idea. Like, I'm an Aries, but lately, it's funny you say that because lately people have been asking my sign a lot. And like, I I mean, I know like the very bare surface of,
Yeah.
all of that. But like somebody's like, "You're a fire sign." I'm just like, "What does that mean?" What does that mean? Um, but I mean, when I think summer was just like busy time for me. And
Mhm,
then
mhm.
before that, I think it was May. May, we did a make project. It was like one thing after another. So some months it's like one thing after another. And,
Yeah.
or Asian American History Month, that was a month that was like really busy for me. And then it died off a little bit. And then summer was just like full
Mhm.
throttle. And now that school started again and like people are
Yeah.
settling down and now that it's cooling down, like we're still rocking and rolling, but like last September was not nearly as crazy as it was like the previous months in summer.
Got
And
it.
then
Yeah.
October is going to be right back up for me. So I there's one hump at the beginning of the year, then down, then summer, back
Mhm.
down, and then October, and then go back down, and then the holidays. So it's like,
Yeah.
we're
You're on a roller coaster.
yeah, restaurants are already thinking about the holidays. So um
Absolutely.
mentally, I feel overwhelmed. I'm not gonna lie. um,
Yeah.
but physically, it's not that bad yet. Not that bad.
Mm,
But that's
mm.
another thing is like I've been exercising so that I can handle this stuff now. Like,
Yeah.
um, which it goes back to not feeling good about ourselves. So I've been trying to make an effort
Mhm.
to be a little more aware of my body, so that when we're going into these months like this, I'm a little
Yeah.
more prepared. A little more prepared. People say I need to
Yeah.
sleep more though. I know people. I need to sleep more. I don't sleep very much. So my friends get mad
I know.
about that. So
Oh, yeah, for sure. You were just speaking about the holidays. Do you like how often are you changing up the menu, and is there a system around it? Do you like what does that look like?
menu, yes. We try to go spring for sure, and then you go into summer, and summer is kind of like a lots of little changes throughout the time. We're so busy.
Okay.
I don't full like a full flip, but I try to start to include things that are more within the season, like summer tomatoes or um
Yeah.
just like different vegetables and fruits. So we try to corn and incorporate that. And then now I just finished doing stuff for the fall. Fall, I did like 9 things. We'll see if everything hits the menu the way that I wanted to. That
Yeah.
goes back to editing those dishes and seeing flops.
Okay.
Uh, and so it may have done well in a tasting, but if it translate into multiple things, that's another thing.
Mm,
And then fall, so we did fall because fall is more of like warmer, different kind of vegetables, harder like pumpkins and all this,
yeah.
all of the hard. And then that kind of slowly bleeds into winter, where I'll probably do a few more things, but fall kind of still kind of covers that.
Got it.
So I it's usually spring, summer, fall, and then within that time, few dishes here and there that kind of makes sense.
Got it.
But depending on what's available during the time. Um,
Yeah.
I think with me the hardest thing is finding enough product for the size of
Mhm.
restaurant that I have. I worked at smaller restaurants where you can get like maybe something like, but it's only available for a month, but I can only get so much, and I don't want to clean out like chino farms or anything. Even chino farms is great, but sometimes it's um like these smaller farms, I don't want to take all of their product. uh,
Yeah.
so there's a balance of that also. So spring, summer, fall, winter.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Going through the season. The wheel of the year for sure.
yeah.
Ah, Amazing. So Tara, how can people find you? How can we follow your adventures and be inspired by you?
I believe it's anime.sandiego on Instagram. Um, my personal IG is my kind of kitchen nickname that I got. It's small_fry42 on Instagram. And a lot of people see a lot of the anime stuff on there, and they follow me
Mm.
personally, obviously, which is kind of cool. I didn't think people
Yeah.
would be interested in my life, but granted, I have like a pet pig, so I guess that's not normal. Um,
Oh
um,
my God, my son would die. His favorite right now are pigs, and he's completely stopped eating pork just because he's
oh,
like in love with them so
that's
much.
cute. I definitely eat less pork, but it's hard being a chef. You know, uh,
Yeah,
I
of
I
course.
just know some animals are meant to be eaten, some aren't.
Yeah,
But if you are eating
yeah.
them, that pay respect that they are a living thing. And
Hmm.
Biggie Smalls, that's my pig. He's really changed my outlook on that. And of course my little pup also, Maya. She's a dachshund, so it's kind of funny. I have a hot dog, and I have a pig, and so like his guests will come up to me, and I don't mind. Sometimes I feel like guests are embarrassed to tell me that they follow me on Instagram, but I'm like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm public. Like, I'm public.
yeah.
That's why,
You're supposed to.
you're supposed to. And so they're like, "How's your pig?" Like, and it's the first time I've met them and stuff like that. But they're like, "I feel like I know you," um, and at first it was a little weird, but at the same time, it's like I'm public, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
totally okay. It's totally okay. If you're interested in my life, that's awesome. That's great.
For sure. I know it's always funny when you're out and about and somebody comes up to you and they know like all these things, or you've never met them before, but they know exactly who you are.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest change in my life is the every my team makes fun of me because they say they're like, "You're a local celebrity," and I hate hearing that. Hate I hate hearing it. But there's some slight truth to it. Like 2 years
Yeah.
ago, only my friends in the industry knew who I was, and
Right, right.
the amount of creativity I had and passion. And then you get put on a in the front, and now everybody knows, or
Hmm.
anybody who cares knows. And it's just I think that's the biggest thing that's changed in my life right now is the
Yeah.
like going out to dinner and getting recognized. I mean, you go to a restaurant, of course you're going to get recognized.
Right.
Like, it's where that's our industry. But
Yeah.
the amount of tension I think is the biggest adjustment for sure. Even
Yeah.
my wife, even for my wife too.
Yeah.
But she's luckily my wife is pretty chill. She's
Oh, nice.
yeah, she's a really chill person. So she's happy. She's happy for me.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because she's
Yeah.
been there
That's
through the
right.
beginning. Like right out of school,
Amazing.
just seeing the growth. It's crazy. Like my friends see it, and when I got the position, they were like, "It's about time." I was like, "It's about time."
Right?
I wish I knew that because I didn't think it was time. I didn't think I was ready. But we're our worst critic. Yeah, we're
Absolutely.
critic, and they said that it says something about me when I started that even I thought I wasn't ready,
Hmm.
even though I was completely ready. But I don't know. It's constant growth. It's constant.
And now you have this platform to highlight the things that are really important to you, and you get to
Yeah.
have the opportunity to share those things, which is
Yeah.
huge.
And I try to be wise about what I say and how I put my and honestly, like I'm not really thinking too much. Like what I put out there is honestly me. I'm not
Hmm.
faking. I'm not, I'm on this whatever like this conversation with you is I'm being completely honest. Like I'm not just saying
Yeah.
things. And so I think that's what people kind of like the most or why they
Hmm.
gravitate toward because I'm not faking anything. So it seems to be working so far. So
Absolutely. And I feel like, and maybe it's part of our culture too, because I feel like they, like our aunties and my mom, like,
yeah,
they don't ever like fluff you up or anything. It's
no,
kind of like, here's
tell
the
you how
straight.
it is. Yeah, exactly. And the Filipinos that come in, like the aunties and uncles, they'll tell me if they don't like it. Like
Oh
and
yeah.
I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with that. I'm not perfect, but
Yeah.
if I get a thumbs up from them, I'm like,
Oh, it's huge.
hell yeah, dude. It's better than any critic. And usually it takes people our age to bring our parents in, because
Yeah.
our parents won't come in like that, because
Oh, no. No, no, no.
no, they won't. So I had like an epiphany one time. I know I'm kind of rambling, but like I have an
Oh, you're great.
I'm like, so why is it so hard for our parents to come in? So, and then for me, I used to get kind of a little bit upset about it. I'm like, it's Filipino food in a nice,
Mhm.
like, how can you not want to
Yeah.
experience it? And I learned it's just a different mentality, because they come from a mentality of survival. They come from
Yeah.
another country, and the dollar means so much more.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
us first generation Americans, we understand, but also we're a little more, we're mentality's a little different. So
Yeah.
at that point I just learned not to be offended. Like, it's not
Yeah.
against me. It's just how we grew up. And knowing that when they look at a $40 short rib kare kare, in
Yeah.
their minds they like, I could make that under $10. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you can't get that out of their brain. You can't. But
No. Yeah.
when we people like us bring our parents in, and just the fact that they want to bring their parents in is a
Mhm.
compliment in itself. Like on Saturdays, Sundays, I see lolas and lolos. For those who don't
Yeah.
know what it is, that's grandma and grandpa's. I met when she was 85, and they were bringing her
Oh
for
my
her
gosh.
birthday. Yeah, they were bringing her for her birthday, and of course she's just kind of looking around, and then I come out and they're like, Lola, this is the chef, and she sees me and I'm Filipino, and they're like, oh, you're
Yeah.
Filipino. I'm like, yeah, I'm Filipino. I'm like, how are you? And she starts talking me in Tagalog, and I answer in English because my
Yeah.
Tagalog is not the best. And then when I finish, I gave her a manopo. You know what a manopo is, where you take their hand
Yeah.
and you put it against your forehead as a sign of respect towards your elders. And the whole table was just like, yes, like
Ah.
she wasn't expecting that to happen
Mm.
at the restaurant. And I don't think
Yeah.
her family expected me to do that, but like, you're celebrating 85 years, like that's a,
Amazing.
and you're in my restaurant celebrating
Yeah.
your birthday. Like, I just had so much respect for her at that moment, and I was appreciative of her family to bring them in, and it's becoming more and more of that. And it's like, before it wasn't like that in the dining room. So
Yeah.
it's nice that I know that I'm making a way for our cuisine enough for people to bring our elders in to experience, and or want them to experience it. And I always say that's like better for me than any critic, or it's just
Mhm.
representation for our community, and to know that I'm making them proud in some way is just, it's very, very, very
Yeah.
rewarding. Very rewarding. And it's the
Yeah.
best view of walking around the dining room. So I love it. I love seeing the
So
Lolas and
good.
Lolos. Yeah, I love it.
I'm sure. It's like so good. Oh, I gotta get my mom in there. It's hard for me just to get her anywhere. It's like they just don't want to go into these restaurants or anything. I'm just
No,
like, you're
but
pulling
there's
teeth.
also, well, it's also, it's a sense of like, they're uncomfortable.
Yeah, very.
I also talked to this other table, and you could tell the mom and dad like felt a little bit out of their element.
Hmm.
What I did is I went up to them, and I just kind of talked in the little Filipino I had, and I
Yeah.
to them, and then I noticed when I started talking to them, they like kind of loosened up a
Loosened
little
up.
bit. Yeah, they kind of loosened up
Yeah.
a little bit, because it's almost feeling like the outsider, and I don't blame them, because like,
Hmm.
that they grew up in a different time than we did, so it's kind
Yeah.
of hard to get those experiences out of your brain. Um, at least I can say that, for I know my parents, uh, they understood what I did, but I don't think they truly
Yeah.
understood what I did.
Yeah.
And they were sitting in the dining room, and first a little bit, my parents are like, still like, are like, how much are things? I'm like, don't
Yeah.
worry about it. Like, I work here. Like,
It's
I
okay.
work. It's okay. I'll take care of you. They're like, are you sure? Like, are we taking up too much time? Are we taking up too much space?
Yeah.
Like, sit at a smaller table. I'm like, look, just relax, like relax
Yeah.
and just enjoy
Yeah.
yourself. Now they're getting used to it. Yeah, but like in the beginning,
Okay.
like they almost felt like they were in the way. And I'm like,
Hmm.
and I think like a lot of them when they come in, they just feel like an outsider. And I told my team that, like, I want everybody, I don't care where the hell you came from, I want
Yep.
you to
Yep.
I want you to feel welcome in this dining room. It's not just for the
Mhm.
privilege. And I am very aware that for some people this might be the one nice dinner that they have all year. Yeah, and
Yeah.
not everybody eats like this. Not everybody eats like this. I didn't
No.
eat like this until I got into the industry, and I still couldn't afford it. I should have been saving my money.
Right?
Yeah. But I think that's also what kind of keeps me grounded, and like is knowing that everybody doesn't is not fortunate to be
No.
dine like this, and for them it's a very, very, very special occasion, and it should be treated that way.
Mhm.
And so it's really something that I really try not to ever forget.
I could tell. Yeah.
So I don't know, I get a little emotional about it sometimes, because it's like you see your parents struggle, and then it's like it brings you back. It brings
Mhm.
um I'm very, very
Yeah.
appreciative.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, same thing here, just by looking at like where I live and what I'm, getting to do with my life and how I get to spend my time and knowing, the stories and the sacrifices and the way that, my mom grew up and where she grew up and to be able to design like beautiful houses. It's like that also seems so
Right.
disconnected,
Right,
right?
right,
From like,
right. But this is why
you
they
know,
came here. This is why
yeah.
because they want us to have a better life than they did. And I think that goes back to talking about what I talked about earlier, is that hiya is like just knowing where you came from. I think in our culture, it really makes a difference
Mhm.
because you have so much appreciation. Um, and they don't let you forget that for sure. They'll call you
No.
out. They won't let you forget. So I think that's one
Yeah.
thing for Filipinos is having that that internal debt. Is it really keeps us not to forget where we came from. So
Yeah. It totally keeps us in check
it
for sure.
for sure, for sure. So it's
So good.
great.
Oh, well, thank you so much for taking your time with me today. I know, your time's very small and valuable,
Oh
and you've
no,
got all kinds of things happening. And
I I love having conversation with people about food, and it's nice, that
yeah,
relate in the Filipino aspect, and like you understand, and um it's conversation that's a connection is always
yeah.
a thing.
And I love seeing you at all the events and all the tastings, and you're always like bringing stuff out and
Yeah, yeah, it's a
so
labor of
good.
love. It's a labor of love.
Yeah.
So, but I appreciate you having me on, and allowing me to speak and kind of share experiences and just have a really good conversation. I thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to share this with everybody and for people to get to know you, um, at a deeper level and where you come from. And I think that's huge and all the things. So we'll be following you. Send me all the information about October because I
Okay,
would love to
once
share
I
all those
figured it
things.
out for sure, but I guess just keep a look at
Perfect.
Instagram, and
Yeah.
his Instagram, kind of see what's going on. But there'll be collabs here and there. Once you figure out the dates, I'm sure everybody will see them, and
Yep.
come out and support, and even if it's for a few minutes, but everybody from everywhere is welcome. So
Amazing. Thank you. We will be in touch.
okay, thanks, Rachel.
You've been listening to the Holistic Interior Design Business podcast. If it's one that you have been enjoying, please share with anyone else that you think can benefit from this knowledge and leave us a 5-star review that helps us get seen and found by other new and aspiring interior designers. And if you're looking for mentorship, I invite you to join our club here at the Design Coven. It's a bridge between school and real life interior design. We get in much deeper there. We have virtual and in-person events. So everyone is welcome. You don't need to have a design degree to be part of it, just an interest in holistic interior design. I also want to thank our editor, Marcy Ferry, and lastly, Kinseth Thibodeau, who is our music composer. Until next time, be well, and we will see each other soon.